All right, we have Josh Brahm today on the show from Equal Rights Institute. Now, Josh used to be Life Report. Like people, when they saw this show, they were expecting to see that face.
This is a surreal experience. What did you do to my studio?
I know this is quite different.
You're doing fine.
Yeah, thank you. What are you up to now? I mean, after Right to Life and Life Report, what are you doing now?
Yeah, so I was here at Right to Life for 6.5 years, and it was awesome. They gave me such an opportunity to kind of do the things that I was interested in doing. Instead of doing like a pro-life youth group, I was like, can we do a pro-life podcast instead and like have everyone be able to listen to it? So we did that for basically that entire time, 6.5 years, about 200 episodes. And was doing more and more speaking. And I just got to this point where I was wanting to have an impact on the entire movement. This is partly why I was interested in Life Report. I was interested in Life Report because you could have everyone across the country listening if they found it. And I wanted something that pro-choice people could listen to as well.
Yeah, you got to reach the masses, and
masses.
anyone can listen at any time.
Exactly. And so I just got to a point where by the end of Life Report, I had more kind of original thoughts or more unique things that I wanted to say. Mm-hmm. And I was still spending most of my time just helping the Fresno pro-life movement. Like most of my speaking, I forget what the stats were that last year that I was here. I feel like there was somewhere between 30 and 50 speeches that I gave in 1 year. But the vast majority of them were here in Fresno. Like the Right to Life board was very, very generous in letting me sometimes actually go out of the state and speak, which is like not really in their best interest, I guess. Like this is Right to Life Central California, but they would let me do it or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like if I'm really going to impact the entire movement, which is what I want the movement to be more persuasive and more loving, then I need to be able to do it out of a kind of a national organization. And so what happened was 2.5 years ago, my brother Tim, who was on Life Report several times, came to Fresno, and we're going to spend a week working on our first book. We had this idea for a book. We're still going to write it. It's going to be on conversation stoppers. What are things that both sides do that screw up their conversations? And so I rented a different conference room. Let's get out of here and not have anyone distracting us. We're going to conference room. I swipe one of y'all's marker boards, and we had our laptops, and we're just going to bang out a draft of our book and a book proposal. And about halfway through the first day, we made this observation that would change our lives, which is that the pro-life movement is not known for its love. And we're not known for being the most thoughtful people either. And it's like, those are two really big problems if we're going to change culture. So what can we do about this? We just kind of started talking about this problem and what could we do? What were like Tim and I kind of uniquely equipped at trying to, how could we help that, help fix that? Well, obviously there have to be out of more than a local organization. Yeah. And so we started thinking about like all the national organizations that we could kind of connect with and maybe join their staff and try to help. And we thought through every single option. And there were always problems. There are all these things that Tim and I talk about that nobody else is talking about. And we didn't want to have to like go through the red tape of having to convince all the rest of the staff of the organization that we're right about something or whatever.
Changing minds.
Yeah, it's not fair to go into someone else's thing and they've got their own vision and they've been going on for 10 or more years and be like, here's what we actually ought to be saying. It's like, we shouldn't do that. So we're like, well, I guess we're going to have to do the hardest thing, which is start our own nonprofit organization. And so that week, we came up with the name Equal Rights Institute, came up with the mission statement to train pro-life advocates to think clearly, reason honestly, and argue persuasively. A lot of our strategy we put in place, how we would both leave our respective organizations respectfully and kind of, keep that as smooth as possible. Tim was working at Justice for All at the time, whom have been on the show many times in the past. Yeah. And 6 months of prayer and getting wisdom from older, wiser people than us, like David B. Wright and a bunch of other people that were really excited but want to kind of speak into this, we got started. So it's been just over 2 years now that we've been in full-time ministry.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's great to go from an organization like this and Justice for All that are doing a lot of great things, are doing already what you want to do, just differently as far as Justice for All. They're already kind of doing what you're doing, just you're doing it different. And out of here, you're doing it nationally. Now, in the last couple years, home base has been Fresno,
That's
right?
That's right.
What are the plans? I know you're looking onward. What's ahead?
Yeah, we kind of always knew we wouldn't stay in Fresno. It was just a matter of when are we going to move away from Fresno. I had several people in the beginning when we were in that phase of 6 months of advice. They were like, "You gotta move, man. This is like a terrible place to do national speaking out of."
Yeah.
And they're right.
Okay.
But the best advice I got, this was actually David B. Wright. It was really, really good advice. He said, unless you have to move, like if you're at war with the former organization or something, like, fine. But assuming things are cool, stay for a while. Don't add the stress of moving along, like to your family, along with the stress of I'm raising financial support for the first time, like a missionary.
Yeah.
We're starting a nonprofit. Like there's all these changes going on.
Things can go wrong south very
It's
easily.
really
and being
terrifying.
in a place where you have no support or have no knowledge of,
Right.
it'd be very difficult to.
We sort of jumped off a bridge holding hands, hoping that the parachutes would open.
Yeah.
And God is good. This is the answer. And so, but we've got to a point late last year where it's like we've kind of settled. Things weren't as scary. We're not in the place we want to be financially, but it's not like terrifying, like how are we going to pay our bills next month, kind of thing. And so, got to a point like we could get a lot more efficient. I really like efficiency. I like doing things well and having good systems in place and figuring out how to, kind of. I want our donors to get the biggest bang for their buck they can. I want us to
definitely.
I want us basically to kick a lot of butt for not very much money and get a lot done. And doing national speaking at Fresno is terrible. I mean, it's partly the airport is not great as far as like you can't get direct from many places. And part of it is just the time zone. Really, anywhere on the West Coast is the wrong place. Because here's what would happen, is I go and speak on the East Coast a lot. We did West Coast a lot. We were in Oregon like 4 times the last couple years, but did a lot of East Coast stuff. So like a couple times that I went to the East Coast where I would go and speak in Canada, in Ontario, on the east side of Canada.
Okay.
So here's what happened. I get up like 4 in the morning to go to Fresno, get out of one of Fresno's like early 6 a.m. flights to get to here and there and then finally Toronto. And I'd land at like 8 p.m. their time, which is not that bad. And then I'm going to rent a car, I'm going to get to my place, whatever. But the reason I've been hired is because the Catholic Diocese of some city, like Halton, for example, has hired me to be their speaker for all their schools in the city. They've got like 7 schools in the city, and I'm their 10th grade assembly speaker that year. They have a pro-life guy or pro-life person every single time, right? It's like abstinence speaker in 9th grade, then a pro-life apologist guy in 10th grade, and then like a bioethics person in 11th grade, and then another abstinence speaker in 12th grade before they go to college.
Yeah.
So I'm
sense.
the guy, and it's this whirlwind tour of like 3 schools in every day for like 3 days, and then get to the airport. Which means I'm speaking at period 1 the day after I get there, which is 8:30 their time, which is 5:30 my time. And I'm so, like, just speaking about philosophy at that time zone for me, it's not optimal. I can do it, it's just not the most, optimal thing. And it just...
Coffee.
So it's mainly that.
Yeah.
There's mainly that. And I've also, like this is like not as important, but as far as like, we knew we were gonna move, but it was always really, really important to me to be really, really respectful of this organization here.
Yeah.
Because there's something that, I don't care who you are, like it's a little bit awkward for kind of one of the most public faces of an organization to leave and start a new group that's doing some similar things and stay in the same city. Like I was like, are people like freaked out? Like, am I gonna take their donors, or am I gonna like go off like or do the same things? And so I've always really cared about like not doing anything that RLCC is doing. Like let RLCC be the local arm of the pro-life movement. I'm doing national stuff. I just happen to be headquartered here for now. But that means that there's some things that I've chosen not to do to kind of really like try to respect RLCC's place that we like ought to be doing.
Yeah.
So it'd be kind of good to just get somewhere there's no history and be able to totally spread our wings and do our stuff. And so we're moving to Charlotte. We're moving literally a week? No, this Monday. We're moving in 6 days across the country. We're
This won't air today, but
I've
the actual
moved already.
Yeah,
apparently.
he's already gone.
Yeah, I don't know when this airs, but we kind of connected just like last week.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, could you jump on Life Report?
Yeah.
Right before
When are you
go?
leaving again? Can you come? Oh, you're leaving next week.
It's like,
okay,
yeah, I'll
let's
come
get in.
on that show that I started 8 years ago. That'd be a really surreal experience.
Yeah. Well, I
for
wanted
me.
to get you in here to kind of explain. I mean, a lot of people that are still viewing either on KNXT or online remember your face, and so when they don't see that anymore, they're kind of questioning,
go?
where's Josh at? Where'd he go? And you've been absent for 2.5 years now. I want to kind of give them that explanation. Why? And we're still going to be working. I mean, together. We're all working towards the same goal, right?
Yes, absolutely.
To save lives and stop this mass killing. But what I want people to understand is that we're not, like you said, we're I guess
we're not at war.
We're not at war against each other.
Here's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Like, I love RLCC.
Yeah.
I've always had a very soft spot in my heart for RLCC. Me moving has so much more to do with just, there is no way for me to maximize my influence out of a local organization. When I turned 30, which was like 2 years ago, I started taking my time a lot more seriously than I had before. And I know that's gonna sound really stupid to like the older viewers, like 30, but it did for me. I started like, okay, all the different things that I'm doing with my time, like, is this how I could maximize my impact for the kingdom?
Yeah.
And when I realized, like, I love all the stuff that I did here. We were doing speaking and writing, and I loved Life Report, still love Life Report. It was just about, like, can I impact the rest of the movement? We've got, like, I'm not an anti-pro-life movement guy. I think some people can kind of, it can come across, because I got so many things I want us to do differently, to be like, oh, he hates the pro-life movement, he just wants to do like the whole thing over. No. This is an amazing movement. Think 40 Days for Life. Like, I've forgotten all the stats at this point of how many cities are doing 40 Days for Life, how many babies have been saved, how many moms have been saved, how many abortion doctors have quit, and clinics closed. But it's amazing, and it's because of the thousands and thousands and thousands of volunteers, many of whom I know here in Fresno, that are doing this here in Fresno. Like, this is an awesome movement. Could we get better at communicating? Yes, we could totally get better at communicating, and that's the thing I'm going to focus on, is how can I help us to get better at talking to pro-choice people more effectively? And we do that through speaking, we do it through writing. We've written 61 articles since we started ERI, and they're all on our blog, and we've got this course that we're putting out, so we can kind of give people a very kind of thorough apologetics, pro-life apologetics and dialogue tips course. This will be out in about a month, and that'll be some of the ways that we can try to help train the pro-life movement to be more effective.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you do have something in the works that you're coming out with, right? And it's subscription-based.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the course that we made, we just filmed 31 videos in high def here in 3 days in the studio last February. The biggest accomplishment of my life, that we got all that done in 3 days. But we've been editing the course, and we're going to be putting out on a website. The course will be called Equipped for Life, and so Equipped Course .us, I think, is going to be the website. I'll give you the website and you'll put it up later.
I'll put it up.
I haven't set up the website yet. We've been editing videos. Like, we've done nothing but editing videos for the last couple months. So it's almost done. It's going to be really awesome. And so people, what they'll do is, if they wanted to subscribe, they can get access to everything on the website for a year. It'll be like $50 for an individual, or if you've got a group of people working together, just $200 for like 20 of them. So, like, really discounted. I want groups doing this together.
Yeah.
And we've designed it to be as helpful as possible for people, the way they learn. So if you're a visual learner, then all the videos look great. It's like they look too good. It's 4K. Like, we don't look that good in 4K, but like, it's really, really nice looking videos. But we'll also make the audio available. A lot of people just want to, like, it's the podcast thing.
Yeah.
Life Report podcast people.
Driving, commuters.
Walking around campus.
Yep.
I'll make it, you can just download all the MP3s onto your phone. You can do role play exercises or group questions, like discussing questions if you're working with a group. And then we'll add podcasts. So I'm finally going to get back to podcasting. I've had, I don't know how many hundreds of people ask me when I'm going to do podcasting again. We'll have a podcast that's just for the people who take the course. This will how we'll answer questions.
That's great, because we're no longer doing podcast here as
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're not on iTunes anymore.
We're not on iTunes. So that'd be great for our viewers, and for those that were into the podcast can now follow you.
If you're into my weird mind, like the way my weird mind works, or even more importantly, the way my brother's awesome, brilliant, fascinating mind works, then this course is something that you'd probably get excited. For the people that are like missing what Life Report was, like Life Report's going to go do an amazing and very different things now with you at the helm. That's great. When people are missing the old Life Report, check out this course. It'll be perfect for you.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully they'll enjoy both of them.
Me too.
Our new Life Report and what you're doing, because I'm going to definitely check it out and be a subscriber.
What if the entire pro-life movement got trained to treat pro-choice people the way Jesus would if he came back and talked to a pro-choice person? Like, what would Jesus' body language be like? What kinds of questions would he ask? What kinds of questions would he not ask?